Casting big glide baits in the kelp for calico bass. Adrift within the kelp forest, the world seems to pause and briefly rest. Everything is frozen in time, quiet, peaceful, and undisturbed. An underwater sanctuary calms the mind. Sometimes the visuals from watching a fish hunt in its natural environment is more dramatic and memorable than the actual catch. A series of epic misses, followers, and bass blowing up on the topwater glide bait. When tracking fish behavior, document your time on the water. My ideal scenario would be a low tide moving high when fishing deep in the kelp forest. The more exposed kelp and open lanes to cast parallel to, the better. A slack tide will produce little or no bites, so you want some water moving as the tide fills in. I prefer no wind with super glassy conditions when fishing these low float, slow sinking glide baits. It's easier to visually track the glide bait as it swims along the edge of the kelp. Overcast, light fog, or heavy marine layer that socks in the coastline is my favorite weather forecast. The bass seem to venture out longer and further in these low light conditions and seem to commit better to a top water presentation. fun aspect of these glide baits is that by changing your retrieval speed, you can control the action of the bait. I alternate between a few different retrieval speeds. Sometimes just a slow crawl works well, while other times if I see a bass following and can't get her to commit, I will speed up the retrieve to evoke a strike. My go-to cadence is winding short half turns of the handle to get the glide to dart side to side, slowly weaving in and out of the kelp stringer. That has the most drawing power to pull the bass out from under the kelp canopy to open water. You have to be strategic on where you cast these glide baits. You need to figure out a good angle and place the bait as close to the edge of the kelp as possible. When positioning the boat, I look for open lanes or small cuts in the kelp. I also fish the leading edges of the kelp or find isolated stringers. Try and get in as tight as possible to the edge of the kelp and then kill the engine. If you end up drifting too deep into the kelp, just grab a paddle and push out a few feet to open water and then start the engine and back out slowly. There is no better feeling than making a good cast and seeing the bass track the lure down the kelp stringer. And just a subtle change in your retrieve makes them commit.